taking myself right up on out of here. I feel like a disgrace, I'm not really what I appear. I go home to my girl and I make nicey nice. The fact that she don't know that I just put someone on. I don't like being here. I constantly live in fear. Could be gone at any time. When you live a life of crime, you have to face the music through the time. I'm trapped again, and fate as always hasn't arrived again. I always get caught in my life of sin, but I just keep on going back again. You know I'm lost again, when all I wanted was to find a friend, someone that I can always depend on to help me find my life again. You know I'm trapped again. Welcome everyone to Mayhemtainment 12. This is our first live episode. We were just live on our sister show 2 days ago, and here we are live on this one. I am joined by my executive producer, Mizpah. Mizpah, welcome to our first live show for Mayhemtainment.
Thank you. And again, I'd just like to say hi to everybody who's watching.
Yes, I don't believe we have any viewers yet, but to anybody watches on the re-show, make sure you hit the notifications and hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button so that you can see when we do go live. We will be going live at least once a month, hopefully a little bit more frequently than that, but at least once a month, our shows will be live. Marcus Fredrickson played us in. Make sure you check out his music, reverbnation.com/Marcus Fredrickson. And also check out facebook.com/thehumankind, and get yourself some apparel started by his sister, Mia. Shout out, Mia. Mizpah, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl on this episode. We were going to shoot this last night, but due to technical problems, we were unable to. So here we are now. It was a great game, I think. Likely one of the best Super Bowls and closest Super Bowls that we're likely to see in our lifetime. Even we don't get games like that very often.
No, I thought it was an amazing game. It was two very equally matched teams, and that's what everybody wants to see. You want to see a close game. You want to see a nail biter. You want to see two teams that are just duking it out. You don't want to see one team just running the other one over, or a game that's like 3-53.
Yeah, absolutely. And it came down to it. They exchanged the lead, I believe, once or twice. The Chiefs, as they always do, made an incredible comeback in the fourth quarter. And then due to some penalties, the game was decided kind of by the penalties at the end of the game. There was a holding call that was the killer. That's pretty much what ended it, because it gave the Chiefs a fresh set of downs, and they just took a knee and took the field goal, and that was the end.
Before we even get into the game, though, some of the pregame ceremony stuff,
sure,
caught my attention, like the Walter Payton Award.
Yeah, I actually didn't get to see that part. I missed a little bit of the opening, some of the pre-show stuff. So, but why don't you go ahead? The Walter Payton Award, I believe Dak Prescott won that?
Yeah, Dak Prescott got that. And, I mean, to sum it up, the Walter Payton Award is kind of an award for, the player who gives the most back to the community.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I kind of have mixed feelings on that. On one hand, I think it's awesome that they honor a player who has given the most back to the community. But then at the same time, I stop and I start thinking about how many players do it just for that award.
Yeah, that's a little cynical in my opinion. I don't think
I don't know about that. Maybe, but I don't know. That would have to be a shallow person. You're probably talking maybe like 1 in 1,000 person that maybe would do it that way. That's what I think anyway. Leave us a comment. If you're watching this live, leave us a comment. We'll talk about it on the air while we're shooting. If you're watching a reshow, please leave us a comment if you disagree on anything, and we'll discuss it in the next episode.
But I do think in my opinion, I think it's awesome that the NFL acknowledges that kind of thought process and giving and just generosity in general. But again, is it really
I don't think many people do that stuff to try and win the Walter Payton Award. And even if they do, honestly, they're competing to see who can give the most to charity. Could there be a worse competition than that?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the conversation I was having with myself last night.
Yeah. And even if it is a competition, who cares? You know what I mean? That's terrible. That's a
competition for a good cause.
Yeah.
There are many good causes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let me use this opportunity to say that normally I'm one to build outlines for the shows that we do on both my shows. But Mizpah put together a fantastic outline for the game while he was watching it, which is why I have him as an executive producer, because he does a lot behind the camera just as much as on the camera. So there's not much that happens or new stuff that happens that I didn't bounce off Mizpah, which is why I call him my executive producer, because without him, there wouldn't be some of the stuff you see, and we certainly wouldn't be at live episodes if it weren't for him also. And this outline that he put together is fantastic. So this is what I'm going to use to get us continue taking us through this episode. So this was also the first time two brothers played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce.
Yeah.
If I remember right, Travis plays tight end for the Chiefs.
Yep. And Jason Kelce plays center for the Eagles. And this might even be Jason Kelce's last season. We don't know about that yet. There's been some speculation this might be his last season. I think if he'd have won the Super Bowl, it likely would have been his last season. But since the Eagles didn't win, I don't know. He might try and go one more season, because the Eagles have a great team, and I expect they'll be at the top next year.
You mean Jason Kelce's last season? Is that what you said?
Jason Kelce, the center for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Yes, he's been in the league now. I think 12 years, 13 years. I think he's been in the league.
I didn't realize he's been in that long. Wow.
Yeah, and he's been an Eagle the entire time as well.
Yep. And Travis has been for the Chiefs the whole time.
Yes, I believe so. But he's probably got a couple more seasons yet. Jason is the older brother, if I'm not mistaken. So I believe Travis probably has a few more seasons left.
So do you know that there was a petition going around the internet to have their mother do the coin toss for the Super Bowl?
Yes, actually, I did know that. I saw it. I thought that was awesome. I mean, being the first mother to have two sons in the Super Bowl, I mean, that's awesome.
You and hundreds of thousands of other people thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
And I actually had the chance to see the statement that she put out about that, because she said she was honored, but that the NFL was going to be honoring people who were more worthy, essentially.
Yep.
And I thought that was a very classy statement, and it drew my attention to what they did for the coin toss. And in my opinion, I think they did it right.
Yeah. I think that was I think that's excellent that they did that. And I respect I can't remember her name. Do you remember her name? Mama Kelce. I think she hit it right on the head. They were honoring, better people. And I think that was very classy of her to do, to say, no, thank you. Please, you're honoring better people than,
Yeah. I want to say it was Donna.
I think you're right. Yeah. Donna Kelce. I think you're right. I think you're right, but yeah, Kurt, leave us a comment if we are wrong. So yeah, that was really great too.
And did you by chance catch the statistics about the flyover?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and let the viewers know about the flyover too? Yeah,
So
that was
the
very awesome too.
the flyover, it was the first all-woman flyover, which I thought was just something really cool. There's always got to be a first. I was kind of surprised that that hadn't already happened by now. But I thought that was, really cool to have, kind of give them a shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was great. I thought it was also great. I thought it was
I have,
really cool.
I have a feeling those were some women you wouldn't want to mess with.
Yeah. I think we should we're gonna skip ahead on your thing first. I think we should talk a little bit about the commercials and stuff, and then we'll talk about the game and end with the potential controversy at the end of the game.
All right.
So let's talk about some commercials. New Transformers teaser. Who cares?
It was I mean, the first, so you got the new Transformers, the new Guardians, the new Fast and the Furious.
I missed the Guardians. I missed the Guardians trailer. I did miss that. I must have been using the bathroom or getting a drink or something. But I did saw the new Fast and the Furious. But my thought on that was when is it going to finally end?
After 10.
Yeah, right. That was supposed to end after the last one. Wasn't the last one the final 9 or whatever it was called? I thought 9 was supposed to be the end.
No, 10.
Oh, well, great.
And that was because
I think they should have ended after 4.
Vin Diesel had promised to do 10 in honor of
Paul Walker.
Paul Walker. Thank you.
Yeah. I think they should have wrapped it up many movies ago. Let's save that for another conversation.
Yeah. I mean, they're fun to watch, but
the first couple. The avocado commercial, the Adam and Eve. You didn't like that one?
I didn't like it at all. Not even a little bit.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure about it. Yeah. It was kind of, I'm not really sure about it either.
I was not impressed with the T-Mobile commercials either. I mean, to be honest with you, most of the commercials were just
all right.
Even the Paramount Plus commercial with Stallone, I mean, it was amusing, but it was dumb.
Yeah. I don't know the DC, what are you talking about, the Flash?
There was a Flash commercial, which obviously was done by DC.
Yeah.
I personally thought that commercial was actually better than the commercials for the Marvel movies.
Yeah, well, the reason you thought that is because your subconscious told you that they also teased in that movie Michael Keaton coming back as Batman, even if you didn't notice.
No, I did notice that.
So that's likely what caused you to think that. No offense, because
now I'm not saying that I think the movies are going to be better.
Yeah,
but I just thought that the presentation of the commercial was better thought out and better done than the Marvel commercials.
Yeah, I think bringing Keaton back as a Batman would be a good idea, but I think DC, you have to stop rebooting and replacing Batman every movie, every movie or every other movie. You gotta lock someone in. I mean, Marvel's doing it, man. They got people locked down for 20 years, man. They're doing 30 movies. So I don't want to hear that you can't. You're just not doing it. Put someone in charge of your universe and get some control over it, DC. That's why you lose all the time. Oh man, the DC haters are likely going to be all over me. Or the pro DC people are likely not going to be happy with that comment. I like the PepsiCo commercials a little bit. They had Steve Martin do one. They also had Ben Stiller do one.
Yeah.
I thought those were amusing. They were amusing, at least.
They were okay, but they weren't, in my opinion, I didn't feel like that they were like Super Bowl commercials. They were just could have been an average everyday commercial.
Well, all of them really, I honestly, in terms of Super Bowl commercials, none of these are really that good.
Yeah.
None of them are really that good.
Like the M&M's commercial, that just made my head hurt.
I don't think I saw that one either. I don't know. I must have missed that one.
Yeah, you'll have to look it up. It was I don't even know how to describe it.
My favorite one, which you have on the list here on your notes here, is the Blue Moon Coors Light Miller commercial.
Yeah, I think out of all of them, that probably was in like the top 3.
That was for me, I think, the most entertaining and the most amusing. I actually laughed at that because at first I was astonished. I was like, Coors Light and Miller Lite getting together for the same ad. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, and then Blue Moon, I'm like, oh man, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
commercial that one was really good, I thought.
And it was relatively original.
Yeah, and the flag football. I like the flag football. The commercial for women's flag football. I think that's in Mexico, the flag football league that they're doing for women, and I think that's good. I think if women want to play football, then let them play football. And I think you got to start somewhere. And flag football is probably the best place to start because I don't know how many women want to do full contact NFL style, football. So I think you got to start somewhere, and I think that's great.
I also like the commercial for the farmer's dog food.
Yeah,
and also the other dog commercial. It was actually Amazon with the destructive dog.
Yeah.
And they get the dog a buddy.
Yeah.
I thought they were both good commercials.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they weren't bad. They weren't bad. Super Bowl commercials, I don't know, but they weren't bad. On your notes here, Mizpah, no, Disney has not been 100 years for the last 30 years. They just celebrate their anniversary every 5 years. So every 5 years. And then they do weird things like the 76th anniversary. Like you're just going to see it every year. They celebrate every year. That's why it feels like they've been 100 for the last 30 years. They haven't been 100. They were just 70 and then they were 80 and then they were 90. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it just, I could have swore that I've seen Disney celebrating their 100th anniversary before.
Yeah, and I don't think so. But Disney, stop celebrating your anniversaries. It's time to get some new original commercials. And stop remaking your movies. It's time to come up with some original ideas, Disney. And keep your hands off Marvel. Just leave Marvel the way it is. Don't do anything crazy with Marvel. All right, just let the people in charge do it.
Let Marvel be.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the football game.
So, I mean, I know you've kind of been putting off talking about the game because, your team didn't win.
Yeah, let's get to the end. Well, hey, you know what? I'm an Eagles fan, so full disclosure, I'm an Eagles fan. But I'm gonna give you this episode from a full, down the line kind of report here. I'm not gonna make it biased. I'll save my biased comments for at the end after we go over it. But
I broke this down by quarter, and quite honestly, I have a whole lot of information. I don't think we need to go over all the information.
No, I don't think so either.
I have notes in here. It's like drive by drive.
Basically. Yeah. You went crazy with this, and I love it. I love all of your notes. But yeah, we're not going to sit here and just regurgitate it. So
I liked how the Eagles came out first quarter, real quick paced, and they just drove it down the field for a touchdown.
Yeah. And both teams scored on their opening drive, which that's great. That just signifies that it's going to be a great game. The Eagles went downfield a lot. They had some big down the field plays. The Chiefs really did not have too many. I mean, they had Travis Kelce. You're not double covering him. I don't know what they had him. I mean, he was left open. He had so many wide open opportunities. That was a big mistake for the Eagles. How you blew the coverage on Kelce, I don't know, but that was part of what prevented you guys from having a commanding lead going into the end of the game because there were so many times he was just wide. Oh, there wasn't a player for 5 yards.
Now, I did feel that the Chiefs kind of started out playing a little more reactively. Like the Eagles came out very fast-paced, very, very quick to drive down the field, and the Chiefs on their first drive seemed to be more methodical, a little slower, and a little more deliberate with their plays.
Yeah, I think so too. And the Eagles did have, after that first drive where they did come out guns blazing, they went with a quick tempo, but most of the drives after that were pretty methodical, were time consuming. And I think that was part of the strategy, keep Patrick Mahomes off the field.
And they did a pretty good job of that.
For almost up until the fourth quarter, that last drive, when they started making mistakes. But at halftime, it was 24-14 Eagles. They had a good lead. I wasn't sure that the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes also went in injured with his ankle. So we weren't sure coming out of the half if he was going to even be playing or not, because he looked like it hurt there. He looked like he got substantially hurt.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was feeling that today.
Yeah.
He woke up this morning going, "Oh my God, what did I do?"
Yeah. And then he came out and pitched a perfect second half. They did, and the Chiefs they came back in the second half. I mean, not even in the second half. The third quarter was good, but the fourth quarter is really where the action in the second half was. The Chiefs started making their comebacks. The Eagles weren't able to move the ball quite as effectively. And then on the final drive, penalties were a big issue.
Well, penalties, I thought, were an issue the whole way through the game. In my opinion, the Eagles shot themselves in the foot a few times, because even in the first quarter,
that's the one thing I didn't look up was the penalty stats, who had how many each team and how many penalties they had for how many yards. But on that final drive is when there were problems.
The Chiefs were third and some odd, and the Eagles get a pass interference.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Then, following that, they got an offsides.
Yeah.
Just a few plays later.
Yeah. The Eagles also had offensive pass interference on a play.
Yeah. And the field goal.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was talking to the Cowboys kicker before the game.
Elliott doesn't really miss field goals, so that was, I don't know what that was. That was a fluke thing, and he picked the bad time to be missing a field goal. But yeah. So let's the end of the game. That's where all this stuff happened. The Chiefs are driving.
And
we want to give
in the second quarter, the Eagles got a false start, which gave the Chiefs another first down from a third down. So the penalties really did hurt the Eagles. They didn't have a lot of them, but the ones they had really cost them.
Yeah, they did. And going into the fourth quarter, it's 27-21. Eagles are still up. And then the Chiefs just start dominating. The Eagles can't really do anything, but they do get that last touchdown at the end to make it 35-35. But it was a great game, and it was a great fourth quarter. But then that final drive, the Chiefs are driving, and then the Eagles get called for holding. Now, at the time, I was just like every other Eagles fan. I was throwing a tantrum, let me tell you.
You called me up, and all I could do was laugh.
Yeah, it was, in my opinion, and we're going to talk about this. Now, the Eagle player came out and said, I don't remember his name. I don't even remember I don't remember who it was.
I don't remember his name either.
But
James?
I'm not sure. But he said he was holding. He came out and made a statement, said he was holding. He just hoped the refs didn't see it. So I'm not going to argue whether or not he was holding. He says he was holding, and who would I'm not on the field. He's the one that did it. So if he says he's holding, then he was holding. My problem is with some of the consistency with penalties, not just in the individual game, but even throughout the season. We're seeing too much that isn't called and then is called. And I think that's leading to problems here, like at the end of this game, where it was decided kind of by the referees. I mean, it was third down, and then they got that penalty, the holding penalty, and that's an automatic first down, and that was it. They just ran the clock down, kicked the field goal, and the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. But I don't like, even if the Eagles would have won, anybody who's saying, oh, it's because you're an Eagles fan. Yeah, but even if the Eagles would have won, I wouldn't have wanted the controversy of that. I would not have wanted the controversy of that. And I think, yes, he grabbed the jersey. I think it's a questionable hold. And you can go back and watch plenty of times throughout the season where people do that and they are throwing flags, and times where they are doing that and they're not throwing flags. I think the consistency of the referees needs to be more, in control. I don't know what's going on. I understand let them play. You want to let them play. That's great. But then if you're going to play, then you got to let them play. You can't just then decide to start throwing flags. You can't decide one road or the other.
one thing I would say with the consistency, I'm sure that visibility is probably part of that. Because there's so much action going on. There are going to be times where you don't see everything. Not, those refs are busy not getting run over. So there are times when you're going to get away with things. And that's why players try to get away with things, because it does happen.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely a mistake. You can't let the game up to the referees. You can't do that. You just can't do that. So I think any penalty is bad. Like trying in that situation, him holding him grabbing a jersey, it was a mistake, definitely. And he definitely shouldn't have made it. But also my other argument with that is I believe the ball was uncatchable. That hold, I don't believe, caused him to not be able to catch that catch. I believe that ball was uncatchable. And when a pass is uncatchable, there shouldn't be a holding call thrown. So that would be my argument against it, is that ball was uncatchable. He wasn't going to catch that ball whether he got held that little hold or not. He wasn't catching that ball. So that's my opinion on that part.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I would have to rewatch that to see where the ball actually is at.
Yeah.
I was more focused on was there holding or was there not holding?
Yeah.
But regardless,
I wanted to get the clip so that we could see it, but I just didn't have enough time to get it going today to bring that clip up. So unfortunately, we can't review it and talk about it right here.
I mean, even if you take that holding call out, I still think the Chiefs were going to end up winning it.
I don't know. I was hoping the Chiefs would not have done it and the Eagles would not have been able to drive down the field. I wanted to see the Super Bowl go to overtime.
That would have been good too.
In the playoffs and the Super Bowl, there are the overtime rules are back to the original where it's sudden death, or I think actually each person still gets an opening possession, and then after that, any score is the end. But there's no time limit. They're 15-minute quarters, and you play until there's a winner.
And I believe that there were a few records made in this game.
Oh, yeah.
Hurts rushed 3 times for a touchdown.
That's a tie. Tied.
That was a tie.
Record. Yep, that's a tie.
Longest.
I believe Terrell Davis is who he's tied with for the most rushing touchdowns in a Super Bowl.
Longest punt return in Super Bowl history.
Yeah, and did you know that there's never been a punt return for a touchdown in the Super Bowl?
Not until I was watching the game.
Well, he didn't return it for a touchdown.
No, but I didn't know that had never happened.
Yeah, me neither, actually. I knew that there was kick returns, but I honestly never thought about punt returns. And yeah, there's been no punt return for a touchdown in Super Bowl history, and that was the longest one, and it came close.
And the Eagles also tied for the longest drive time-wise.
Oh, that's nice.
So in Super Bowl history, the Eagles are now tied for the longest timed drive.
Do you know what that is? The time?
I do not.
I didn't know that, or I would have
down.
tried to look that stat up. But yeah, I don't see it in your notes either. So yeah. So we don't know. I'm sorry, we don't know what the time is, but yeah, that's great that they got that and that they hold the record for that. That's great. And I think they're coming, like I said, I think they're coming back next year.
And there was a flag, a call during the game that I was unfamiliar with. The ref had said something about defense bench area.
I don't recall.
And they were explaining that because while they were in the lineup, the offense, which at the time was the Eagles, had subbed out a player and didn't give the defense time to also sub out.
Oh, yeah, that was added when they started so that the offenses can't just line up and then all of a sudden substitute people off and bring in, a bunch of receivers. The defense has to have a chance to match personnel.
Yeah, I didn't know that was actually that even existed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's been for a while now. Before, and they did it because it puts the defense at a disadvantage. If you line up in a run formation and they go like a 4-3 defense, 3 linebackers,
Yeah.
2 corners, 2 safeties, and then you substitute out a bunch of people and bring in 5 wide receivers, then you're going to get a mismatch. You're going to have a linebacker on a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And that's not a mismatch you want to have. So
No.
the defense has to have enough time to sub in the right personnel. If the offense makes a last minute change when they're up on the line or when they're coming up to the line, the defense has to have an opportunity to match personnel.
And I will say, overall, like I was very impressed with the game. I mean, this game had pretty much a little bit of everything. There were some long bomb throws that were caught for amazing first downs, and there was a little bit of everything in this game.
Yeah, there was some rushing, there was some interceptions, there were some fumbles. Yeah, it was a really well-rounded football game. You got to see a little bit of everything that football has to offer in that game, including the penalties. And it came down to the end. I mean, it came down to the end. It came down to that last drive. So you can't have a better game than that.
I would like to ask you, who was it that called the Chiefs by a field goal like days before the Super Bowl?
I have no recollection.
You don't recall that, huh?
Nope, I have no recollection. I don't recall that information at this time. That's not in my notes.
You're not going to give it to me?
That's not in my notes. Well, you may have called by a field goal, but so did I. I just happened to have the Eagles winning by a field goal, but you got the score way wrong.
I don't think I even had a score. I just said by a field goal.
Oh, no, I think we did score projections, but we were both way off on our score projections.
Oh, yeah.
I was also off on my score projections. I never expected there to be 5 touchdowns. I thought 4 and a field goal or 2, but not 5 touchdowns. So,
yeah, I honestly was expecting it to be like 24-27.
Yeah, that's kind of where I think I went with 28-31. I thought it was going to be 4 touchdowns, and literally the final field goal would be the one that decided it. So
I was definitely expecting the defenses to do a lot more stopping than they did.
Yeah, 10 touchdowns total. But dude, we also saw sacks. We saw the quarterbacks get hit. I mean, it was
just a great game.
Yeah, it was. And that's why you can't let it up to the referees at the end, because if you do something wrong, then you're going to pay the price for that. And the Eagles messed up on that last drive, and that's just the way it is. There's nothing you can do about it. And I'm certainly not going to, I mean, like I said, the dude said he was holding. What can you do? Certainly not going to argue with the guy who was on the field.
So,
well, I believe that about covers everything.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to note on that, other than I have to give hats off to Mahomes. I mean, he made that rushing run for the first down on that injured ankle.
Yeah,
and you could tell when he got back up, he was hurting.
Yeah,
like you could just see the pain in his
he got
face.
it out. Yeah,
and that makes a great player. That is the difference between being good and being great.
Yeah. And he certainly gutted through it. I was very, very impressed that he came back, and he's got some great rehab, because I think in the second half, I don't even think he was hardly limping when he came back in the second half. By the end of the game, he was limping again, but I don't think he was limping after he came back after that, because he was limping real bad going into the half, and he came back out on the field. Didn't really look like he was limping very much. A little bit, I guess, but not really.
I'm sure they probably had it wrapped pretty tight, and he probably got some B12 vitamin shots.
Yeah, he probably did.
But regardless, the fact that, I mean, a high ankle sprain and you're going to run like 25 yards.
Yeah. He definitely, he did it. He got it done. Patrick Mahomes got it done. That's why I like him. I'm a fan of Patrick Mahomes. It was kind of weird because I've been rooting for the Chiefs since they've gotten Patrick Mahomes, because I like Patrick Mahomes. So this Super Bowl was kind of like, man, I haven't rooted against the Chiefs for like 5 years now, because I'm a Patrick Mahomes fan.
So let me ask you, do you think Mahomes has the ability to become the next
If you say it, I'll reach through the screen.
Tom Brady?
No, we're not talking. Yeah. So I think he'll be in the conversation. I think he'll be in the GOAT conversation in shortly. I don't know that he's there yet. He's certainly good, but like if he decided his career was over and he's not coming back to play, yeah, 2 Super Bowls at a young age is great, but does that make you the GOAT? No, I don't know about that. So we have to see how some more of his career turns out. But I certainly say that he's definitely on his way to making himself part of the conversation.
And that's where I'm at. I would say right now he is definitely on track to be in that kind of conversation. But I don't think that he's been around long enough yet.
Yeah.
Because who's to say that, 3 years from now, he's like, I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he will, but like we're saying, we need to see more of his career before he's in the GOAT conversation. He has to do more in his career if he wants to be in the GOAT conversation.
But I personally think he has the skill and the ability. It's just whether he has the chance.
Yeah. And one more commercial I wanted to talk about. We saw our first God commercial ever. And I thought that was really awesome. I thought it was a really great commercial.
Yeah, I agree.
I forgot that I made that little note. It was the only note that I had to myself in this episode was about the God commercial. So
yeah, and I thought it was a really good commercial too.
Yeah, it was. And I liked it very much. I didn't get to catch who the organization was that ran the ad. I didn't get a chance to catch who it was. I tried to look, but it was only up on the screen for a second and then it went away. I didn't have a chance to catch it. And I did not have the time to look it up before we were going to be shooting. So, but I will look that up and include that in the Boiling Point episode that I'll be doing next week. So make sure you look for that. That one I don't know if that one will be a live episode or not. It might not be a live episode. I think that's going to be about it. I think we're going to wrap it up here. Visit storefronts, bonfire.com/store/JD Designs. That's with a Z at the end of it. And there is no Mayhem apparel up yet. I'm sorry. I have not had the time to put it up yet. And our sister show, the Boiling Point Podcast, they also have a storefront, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point Podcast. So visit both our storefronts, pick up some apparel. I will have some Mayhem apparel on the JD Design storefront, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, as soon as I have some time to actually do it.
Yeah, I know I have a Boiling Point Podcast mug. I do look forward to a Mayhemtainment mug in the future.
Yeah, well, you're buying that one yourself. I bought the gift he had. I bought that one for him. That was a gift that I got for him, but that was a Christmas gift. He's not getting another mug as a Christmas gift. He's buying his own next one.
Well, I do have a birthday coming up in a few months.
Yeah, mine's coming up first. So let's see what kind of budget you do, and then we'll talk about, and then we'll see. Marcus Fredrickson does the music. He plays us in and out of every episode, the Boiling Point Podcast or from Mayhem Media. It doesn't matter. So check out his music, reverbnation.com/Marcus Fredrickson. And also check out facebook.com/thehumankind, and pick up some apparel from that storefront as well. Marcus's sister started that in honor of him after Marcus passed away. So pick yourself up some apparel and share it out. #normalize the good. Share out your favorite Marcus Fredrickson song using #normalize the good. You can also follow me on Twitter, JD at Mayhem Prez. That's with an S at the end of it, not a Z. And I think that's about everything. So for my executive producer, Mizpah, I am your host, JD. And that's the end.
Good night.